Welcome, everyone. Good morning, good day, and good evening to all of you that have joined us so far. Welcome to today's webinar titled Soft Skills to Support Occupational Hygiene Technical Skills. My name is Samantha Connell, and I'm co-chair of the Communications and Marketing Committee and IOHA Board Director for the Swiss Society of Occupational Hygiene. I'll introduce you to today's presenter shortly, but before we get started, I've got a couple of housekeeping items for the webinar. Firstly, this webinar will be recorded. Your cameras and microphones are off for the duration of the webinar. We should have a fair amount of time left at the end of the webinar for Q&A, and so if you would like to come off of mute during that time to ask your question, we can unmute you then. Please use the Q&A function to help us better track questions so that when it's the Q&A session, we can move into that function of the system and see the questions more easily. And this webinar will be interactive, and so there's also a chat box. Alex is going to ask you several questions where we hope that you'll give us some feedback, and we would like to use the chat box for that part so that we can easily track that as well. So please use the chat box there and not the Q&A. I will be monitoring both just in case, but just to help us avoid confusion, please use the chat for the interactive part and the Q&A for the questions. A very brief word on IOHA. IOHA is an umbrella association with 43 member organizations, and the 43 organizations make up more than 20,000 occupational hygiene and allied professionals globally. We have several committees with ongoing projects and work to continuously advance IOHA's vision of a safe and healthy working environment for all. If you're a member of an IOHA member organization and you would like to learn more or volunteer, please get in touch and let us know. If you're joining us today from a country that does not yet have a professional organization and you would like support from IOHA in getting started, please also let us know. Our website address is www.ioha.net, and you can find more information and news there. And you can also follow us on LinkedIn to stay up to date and look out for announcements such as these webinars. I would like to thank Amazon for sponsoring IOHA for the third year in a row. Amazon funds are dedicated to education and training in occupational hygiene. We do several webinars a year, and we have some wonderful world-class speakers, so please continue to join us. And without further ado, I have the great honor and pleasure of introducing today's speaker, a colleague and friend, Alex Wilson. Alex is a passionate chartered occupational hygienist through the Faculty of Occupational Hygiene in the UK. Alex holds a first-class bachelor's in environmental science, majoring in occupational hygiene from the University of Bradford, and a Master of Science in Workplace Health from the University of Nottingham. He has over 20 years of experience working in various sectors and has special interests in hand-arm vibration, noise, chemical exposure, asbestos, Legionella, and strategy. His current role as Group Head of Health at Johnson Matthey gives him a wide supporting role, assisting the global business in implementing good health risk management practice through working in the Group BHS team. Over the last decade, the aspect of soft skills has become a keen focus, exploring how we can all become better professionals. Alex is past president of BOHS and supported the BOHS board for 13 years. During his term as president-elect, Alex raised awareness on the importance of soft skills for occupational hygienists. In 2025, he was awarded the Thomas Bedford Medal for outstanding contribution to worker health protection and the profession. He is also very proud to be a founding team member of the Emerging Leaders Institute, which held its first intake at the IOHA 2024 conference in Dublin and was recently awarded the Peter Hewitt International Innovation Award. So without further ado, Alex, I'll hand it over to you.
Thanks, Samantha. And hi, everybody. It's great to see the numbers ticking up. So, absolutely amazing number count here. So I hope that you're all expectant and ready to get involved today. So, thanks for that introduction, Samantha. I hate listening to myself or listening about myself. So, I sat through that with great teeth. So appreciate that. And look, I really appreciate the invite to come and do one of these webinar series. So I've been a participant on a number of them in the past, and they've all been really good. And I know this is one that we've been trying to get off the ground for a while. So they finally tied me down to a date, and I'm looking forward to it. So as Samantha said, the title is really, it's just to look at some aspects of the different types of skills that we can have as EHS professionals, and really kind of building on that building on our technical skills. So it's very much going to be an exploratory session with you all today. So you've kind of already had the introduction from Samantha, so I won't bear too much on this, but just to say that my interest in this kind of aspect of a professional kind of learning came really when I was invited to attend the American Industrial Hygiene Association's Future Leaders Institute, and it gave me a little taste to a different aspect of learning that I had not really had before as a young kind of career professional at the time. That was 14 years ago. I did that Future Leaders Institute, and I think IOHA has just ran their last version of that a couple of weeks ago, which is fantastic. Obviously, Samantha said we did the Emerging Leaders Institute in Dublin at the IOHA conference, which was an absolutely amazing experience. And we're hoping that we can definitely replicate that and do that again, just because that buzz that I've had for this kind of topic has not died, and if anything has got a little bit greater in terms of the excitement and the passion I've got to really push it on. So yeah, I hope that today you'll find it interesting. By no means am I an expert in any of this, but I'm someone that likes to learn and to drive things forward. Couple of other things it's worth note. You've known my education, but you might not know where I'm from, and I always like to point this out. So I'm from a very important place in the UK called Yorkshire. We often say it's God's own county. He made that first, so yeah, just so you know, if you've not visited before, it's a beautiful place and it's full of really friendly people, and me. But yeah, no, like as I said, I'm not an expert in any of these things, but I am passionate, and I hope that my passion and my enthusiasm helps us to explore some of the topics of this part today. So, what will we cover today? We can't touch on everything because there's just so much to cover, but we'll give a kind of a setting the scene piece really in terms of why I'm here and why we're doing this. But we will touch on three aspects. We'll look at questioning, we'll look at listening, and emotional intelligence, and these three are linked quite nicely together. But it's something that I think it's the tip of the iceberg when it comes to kind of these interpersonal soft skills, professional skills that we all often learn. So, as I said, no, I don't believe anybody is an out and out expert in any of these topics, but I think because of interest and insight and exploration and practice, I think we can all go a long way to explore that further and to make sure that we can learn and others can learn from that as well. So as I've said, I'd love to hear your interaction as we move through. All righty. So why are we here? Why are we doing this? Are you here just to get some CPD points, or is it because of something else? As Samantha said in the introduction and in the abstract for this webinar, we talked about kind of building on our technical skills and utilizing other skills to make us kind of that total package. The image on the screen right now, I love it really because it shows the potential on anybody's capability to put something to their mind and to do it. And we can achieve whatever we want to achieve as long as we set out our main goal and drive to do that. And yeah, as I said, why are we here to do this? Well, we're here to make a change. I share a lot of passion, not just in this topic area, but in the passion of protecting people's health in the workplace. And I think that because we've got nearly 100 people on this call, I think you wouldn't be on this call if you don't share that kind of passion too. So that encourages me, and hopefully that encourages you, that there's a great group of people out there that are always striving to explore and find new areas to learn and to make ourselves better in what we do. We've got a really unique role. I think we're quite a niche community in terms of occupational hygiene and either the wider kind of EHS community. But in order to help make that change, We should always be looking to see how else we can adapt and learn, so that we can do the right thing and do the right thing well. It's not just about compliance, it is about doing the right thing, isn't it? So, yeah, as I said, I don't think you'd be here if you didn't share that passion, and I'm counting on you as we go through the session to share your passion and to get involved in some of the activities that we've got. We often talk about occupational hygiene and EHS as a science, but it's also an art. I think that we forget that it is not just the technical piece, but it's also our ability to use that and employ it onto the workplace and onto other professionals. And we need to use the creative side of our brains to do that. So our left side is our logical science side. It's the logic, it's the detail, it's the facts, the data, and the intellectual controlling aspects of what we do. But the right side, and this is the bit that I really think, if you are a hygienist, you have a great propensity to use your right side a lot more. It gives intuition. It allows you to see the bigger picture. You can kind of handle and look at the emotional aspects, visualize, look at the science and the data from the left side of the brain. I think we've got a really keen kind of skill set as occupational hygienists to do that. But it's something that we need to be aware about as well. And the learning and how we apply this is very much cyclic, which is why I kind of put that other diagram on the other side of the slide. This is an eat, sleep, repeat kind of learning. It's not something that we do once and then we think, right, we're done and dusted and we can crack on. Every time we come across a different scenario, every time we come across a different situation, we should always look to relearn, revisit, recap it, and improve what we do. An old colleague and mentor of mine, Steve Bailey, who is former president of IOHA and founding one of the founders of OHTA, he said that it was more like a kind of a cyclone of learning. So when you're young, you speak to a particular group of people. But then as you kind of progress through your career and you expand your client base or you look at your stakeholders, then how, who, and why and what do you need to learn and communicate with them? So as you're going up, you're just constantly going up this cyclone, improving, relearning, and making yourself better. So please take that into account when we're thinking about this today. Wherever you are in your journey, be that first year, 5 years, 15 years, or 35 years plus in a career, we can always learn a little bit more and explore what we can do and how we can learn from it. So in terms of these soft skills, I've said it's skills that you can be an effective professional, and it goes hand in hand with our wider personal development. As we progress through our technical qualifications and certifications, we should really think about making sure that we can build on the other skills that can actually help us achieve our technical side of our achievements. They might not seem to be kind of the way that you learn and apply them. There's no massive milestones in how you do that. So it might seem a bit insignificant, but changing the way that you might approach clients, managers, senior leaders in an organization or a public body, other key stakeholders, you name it, you can have a massive impact on how those other people work with you, and then actually in turn also interact and work with other people in their daily lives and in their daily working lives, because of the way that you can also impose some of your skill set on them as well, and they can learn from it. So it does go hand in hand. I do believe it can make us better professionals. And here is just it's not a finite list, but this is just a key overview of some of the aspects in the skill sets that we think about when we're talking about soft skills or leadership skills or interpersonal skills. So there's absolutely loads. We're not going to cover all of those today, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but we cannot really define these when we just think about occupational hygiene, or the wider EHS kind of topic. It's not about kind of having a finite list of skills in a toolkit to allow us to develop as our professionals, but it's about exploring how we can pull on our experiences from each of these different types of areas, depending on the situation that we find ourselves in. So that's something to remember. It's not like you need your sampling train, or you need your noise monitor and your calibrator and your methods. This is really something that you just call upon, and it becomes a subconscious thing. But there are ways that you can consciously adapt and impact and how you do some of these things. So yeah, we've got a good challenge to do this and to really move on. We did a little survey within the British Occupational Hygiene Society because we were building competency framework, and we asked about soft skills, and we received some good challenges around that with regards to how can we support the kind of the building of competencies within this area, because there's no finite qualifications really. It's more like on the job life learning. But it was something that we definitely have to take into account. And obviously getting involved in webinars like this is also a good thing to do that too. So yeah, look, that's a little bit of a preamble from me. And we're going to jump into the first topic now. As I said before, and Samantha said, it is going to be interactive. There will be times that I'll be asking you to get involved. So please throw anything into the chat with regards to responses. I'm happy we'll be looking at those. And again, it's there for other people as well. So you might have a really good question or a really good insight in some of the challenges. We might be able to build on that, just not for yourselves, but for everybody else involved as well. So really do engage, and yeah, I look forward to the next few sessions on this. So first one we're going to jump into is questioning. So why do we question? It's a really good question in itself, and it's got a multitude of answers. But the main point is we ask questions in order to gain insight and to gain data. We just need to understand what type of insights and what type of data we need in order to get the result that we'd like to get. So that might help us make other decisions. It might inform us to take steps. It might inform us to stop certain actions, as well as making moves to move forward with other actions. But it gives us greater insight into what other people and other things are out there, and the line of thinking to get what we need. So there's lots of different types of questions that we can look at. So we're just going to go through some of them now. Again, this is not a finite list in itself, but some of the most common types, which I think are really useful to think about. And I'm sure some of you will have come across these already, but we'll go through some of them now to do that. So types of questions. We're going to look at 4 different types of questioning in order for us to gain different insights and different information to work on. Okay, so the first one we're going to look at is open questions. So open questions are very much there to gain an answer from the perspective of the individual that you ask that question to. So it will be a personable response. It will be their perspective in terms of what you do. It will involve a longer answer, or it should involve a longer answer. And if you ask the right kind of question, you should get more of an insightful, longer answer. And you'll often, as it says on the slide there, these questions often start with things like who, what, where, when, how, and why. So again, these are things to say, well, what would you like to hear about on the next webinar from IOHA? So that is an open question. You can't answer yes or no to that question. If you did, you'd sound a little bit funny, but you'd be there to give a little bit more of a response. Oh, well, actually, I would like to hear these topics on the next webinar series from IOHA, and then you list out the topics. So open questions are very good for gaining insightful information. It's not very good for building very quick quantitative data responses, but it is good at building good qualitative data with regards to building on people's opinions. Okay, so that's your opening questions. Kind of the opposite to that are your closed questions. So these are more of your limited answer questions. So this is your yes, no, 1 out of 5, 5 out of 5, etc., etc. So these questions are really good for just building on simple surveys to get an indication and an understanding of if something's working, if something isn't working. Was this webinar okay? Yes or no? Please rate this webinar from 1 to 5. Hopefully you'll rate it 5 out of 5, but that's besides the point. So they're the types of questions that you can ask from a closed question. Okay. Next one along is a leading question. So this is, as it says in the name of the question type, a leading question is to really direct or slightly nudge an individual to give an answer within a field or a desired outcome, a desired area or answer. So, for example, here this might be so instead of just saying what would you like to hear from the webinar series, you could say, well, the webinar on soft skills was really, really interesting. So what other areas of soft skills would you like to hear about? So we're pushing you down that area to think about a particular topic and give answers on that particular topic. So you frame that up in order to kind of get into the preconceived kind of thought process. And again, it is often used in surveys and stakeholder questionnaires, because it really builds up, and it's good for marketing because it gives people it gives them that light bulb to think, oh, actually, yeah, that's what I would like to go down. So leading questions can be really, really good for the right reasons. Okay, next question group here is hypothetical. So these are often based on assumptions. So this is more of gaining somebody's opinion on something that really doesn't exist. So if we, as I said there, if we could achieve zero exposure in the workplace, how would that feel? What would you feel like if that was the case? So if you were to win the lottery tomorrow, what would you spend it on? So it's generally a situation which is it could happen, but it probably won't happen. But again, it gives insights and it gives people's understanding. So if you had unlimited budget, how would you spend that on controlling exposure? So again, it's a hypothetical question. Wouldn't we all love an unlimited budget to control exposure in the workplace? But again, it can build on different insights. So they're the 4 types of questions that we're going to explore and think about a little bit further. So hopefully that's kind of set the scene for you. As I said, there are lots and lots of others. You can dig way, way deeper into all of these. We just don't have the time to do that. There's not enough minutes in the webinar and not enough hours in the day. So, but again, this doesn't mean that you can't go off and explore this even further. And that's what the aim of this webinar is for you to empower you to go and explore that. So just looking at some questions here. So the questions.
Sorry, Alex. We've got a question, I think, related to that slide. If you could go back.
Okay. Yeah.
We've got Ronald asking, do you use a form or a questionnaire or just your mind?
So, it depends, I guess, on how, what you're doing the questioning for. If it's purely in a conversation, then you would just use your mind. If you were thinking about a stakeholder kind of survey for a workplace, then that would probably be a form, and you can build that out with a mixture of different types of questions. If you're having a conversation with a customer or a client or a senior manager, then that might just be something that you need to have a quick preparation for, but then things that will just be stored in your mind and really just think how best to kind of tackle those situations when they present themselves. So it's a great question. It really depends on the situation that you find yourself in. I think that would be the best way to it. But you can always have a little bank of questions that you can prepare beforehand for any situation, and just always keep looking at them from time to time. So jumping forwards, there might be an exercise later on with regards to how we might write certain types of questions with regards to worker health protection or something like that. So maybe we can explore some of that. And again, you can take them out of the chat, everybody's suggestions, and keep them as a little bit of a question bank to move forwards. But no, that's good. That's a good question. Hopefully that's answered it. Okay, so we'll move on to this one. So this is what you can see on the screen now is just a series of questions. So this is just like a marketing survey kind of question. So are these questions closed or open questions? So you can look at them here. So it's just, again, just to get you thinking of this. So we said that certain questions start with certain words. These are what's, how, why's questions. So what do people think? Are these closed questions or open questions? Feel free to throw something in the chat. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, thanks very much. Throwing it. Yeah, that's it. They're all coming now. So these are open questions. That's exactly right. So again, what are the main reasons you chose our product or service? You can't just say yes or no. You've got to give reasons. Those reasons provide that valuable content for you to work on. So those reasons might be helpful reasons, insightful reasons, might give you an indication of what things you can work on, things you can change. You're looking at there, how would you describe your experience with us? Yeah, why are you looking for products and services today? So it's looking for the opinions of the person that you're asking those questions to. So if these were the open questions, then I'm guessing you'll clearly know that these types of questions will be the closed questions. So as you can see, another kind of marketing kind of customer survey range of questions. So would you recommend our products and services? That's a yes or no, or a maybe, isn't it? You could give people a scale, but it's still short answer questions. So these type of questions, they provide really quick responses in order for you to potentially move into an open question. And they also provide you with a really easy ability to rank and tally up these types of questions if you were using them in a survey or a form, for example. And you might want to ask one or two closed questions and then put a couple of open questions at the end, or mix them in between. So are you happy with your experience with us? Yes or no? Can you please tell us what aspects of our service allowed you to give us that score? So you're adding a closed and an open question in order to provide that overall insight. So they score you a 4 out of 5. Why did they score you a 4 out of 5? So it just, again, you can mix things up and do that. And again, you apply those, thinking about that from a workplace perspective, you can start to create so many questions to operators. Why don't you wear your hearing protection? Because I don't. Well, could you explain to me why you don't wear hearing protection? Is it, and then you could do a leading question. Is it because? And then you can push them down a certain directive. So moving on with that one, we'll jump into leading questions. So generally, we've tallied this up into 5 areas to look at, but again, based on assumption. So there's a few little questions here, or kind of anecdotes around it. So how much did you enjoy your teachers at school? So it's an open question. The leading question could be, well, share with us your experience of your teachers at school. So again, thinking about that from a workplace perspective, again, like, so yeah, why do you wear hearing protection, or why don't you wear hearing protection in the workplace? Please share with us your experience in why you don't wear hearing protection in the workplace. So that would be the way that you could turn an open question into a leading question, and it really gives you that extra opportunity to do it. So you can see there, you can interlink statements. So you can have really closely connected things. So looking at the examples down here, so this is like a workplace one. Most employees hate working more than 10 hours a day. What do you think about that? So again, you've got a statement and then you're asking them what they think about that. You could maybe explore it further. As you see there, you change things up a little bit. Would you prefer working fewer hours since your current work-life balance seems to be a problem? So again, you can mix things around a bit and interlink the statements that way. Other things to consider when we're looking at leading questions is a direct implication. So making the respondents, as it says there, consider the results that would eventually happen. So again, I've added this one up there. If you enjoyed the IOHA webinar on soft skills, shall we do another one with a similar format? So again, you're giving them the direct implication, which is another webinar. You already might be thinking, no way, but you might then be thinking, yeah, let's say what else can we do? And again, it's an opportunity for you to express your interest to say, well, this would be great actually in a classroom or as a conference workshop, as well as a webinar series. So you're providing that extra information when you're doing it that way. Coerciveness, so you could try and force an answer from a leading question. So yeah, I use this as well for regional meetings. So yeah, you enjoyed this regional meeting, didn't you? So okay, you can force it a little bit, and then you can tag it as well. So as we say, the latest president of IOHA, Matthew. So the world-renowned Matthew is a fantastic IOHA president, isn't he? So again, you can kind of tag someone and allow that to get a little question out there. So some of the bits there that we've touched, really kind of looking at basic open and closed kind of principles, taking those and applying some of the leading question attributes towards that. The hypothetical ones, I think they're, as we've talked about before, they're very much things that don't happen or probably won't happen, but what would people's thoughts be if they did? And that often gives you that general insight. So we're going to have our first little challenge for you. We're going to watch this short video clip of every mum's favourite, Tom Cruise, and we're going to look to see how many types of questions that you can hear during this little short video clip. Okay, so there's a number of questions and they're not all the same type of questions. There are different type of questions. So let's see what you can hear and what different types there are. And again, please, once we finish the clip, jump back in and let me know what you hear. So just going to flick over to this. Make sure your speakers are turned up so you can hear it, not too loud, but make sure you can still hear it.
You have any questions for us?
Do you have an offer in mind?
It includes a bonus schedule, low interest mortgage so you can buy a home, country club membership, and we'll lease you a new Mercedes.
You picked the color, Mitch.
Lamar, you haven't been paying attention. His wife picks a color.
Do I open it here?
Of course.
Unless you can tell us what's in it. A lawyer worth that offer shouldn't have to open the envelope.
Mr. McKnight, you are the managing partner at Bendini, Lambert, and Locke, is that correct?
Yes.
Did Mr. Lambert, as senior partner, give you any instructions regarding my employment?
He did.
And Mr. McKnight, do you usually follow Mr. Lambert's instructions?
Objection. Vague, ambiguous.
Sustained.
What precisely were those instructions?
That you were in great demand, and I should make certain that we obtain your services before a bidding situation developed.
How did you go about making certain?
bribed a clerk in the Harvard Law Placement Office for the exact amount of the highest offer, and then added 20%.
Mitch, the letter you got from Bendini, Lambert, and Locke was the only one sent out. We want you.
All right, so make sure I get the slides back up. Okay, so I don't know if you remember that film. It's quite an old one, but it's a great little clip to show the different types of questions. So Ronald's put 2, 3. So okay, so these are the different types of question techniques, different types of questions. There's definitely 3, I think, definitely 3. But there was more of certain types as well. So can anybody throw out different parts of the video, different parts of the clip as to when, what type of question was used when, if you can remember? So at the start, what types of questions did Tom Cruise ask when he was finding out what was his offer, job offer? So yeah, at the start, that's right. Yeah, Gerard, at the start they were closed questions. He asked a couple of closed questions that just presented a short answer, which was either yes or correct. And then from that, he expanded that into the how, used how in order to explore that a little bit further. But he used an open leading question to really dig into how he went about it, didn't he? Which is where the kind of the other aspects came along, and he listed it out. Well, what he did, well, I ended up bribing somebody, and I bribed a clerk to find out what the best offers were, and then I added the 20%. So he got to know what his job offer was by asking those questions. So yeah, so everything put in here are really good points. So yeah, when he asked exactly what exactly was the instructions given, that was a very good, nice use of an open question. He set the scene with closed questions, didn't he? And then he was able to build on that with some simple open questions and then some slightly leading open questions in order to get his final result. So hopefully you found that interesting, a bit insightful. Maybe next time you're watching a film or you're watching a program and people are asking questions, you can think about going into that. But no, really, really thanks for chipping in on the chat. All really good points, and thanks for doing that there. So okay, so we're just going to now move into a little bit of a challenge. So before we close out this section, just a quick challenge, maybe 5 minutes, maybe a couple of minutes, just for you to think of some questions related to occupational hygiene or the wider EHS kind of field, using the 4 types of questions that you can see on the screen. So I've given you a few examples of those already a little bit. There's one on the hypothetical already there. So have a think about those over the next minute or two. Write them in the chat, and we can go through them. But the real thing here is that we build up a little bank of questions that people can always copy out of the chat and use as they move forward. So just think about what type of open, close, leading, and even hypothetical questions you might need to or usually use, or you already use on a common basis in your level of work, that come up on a number of occasions, and we'll go from there. They don't have to be super complicated questions. You can keep things nice and easy. But yeah, just have a think about that, and then when you're ready, pop them into the chat, and we can explore those a little bit further. Yeah, so we're already coming in. Some examples are coming in, which is great. Yeah, so we've got some great questions, examples of both open and closed questions. You can see the open ones, although it's nice that people have written open and closed next to some of them, but you can see the ones that are generally open, when, why, closed questions don't have the starts of those in, so there's some big ones coming in now. Oh, I like that one from Alexander. That's a great one, with an open, closed, and leading question and the hypothetical question. Thanks for that. Yeah, great examples there. Scott, I like those open, closed, leading ones. But no, all these are really good. Asking people if they know about certain topics, lead toxicity, breathing protection, hearing protection. Yeah, thanks, Samantha. I'm just reading, so don't think I'm ignoring you all. Yeah, Caroline has put in a nice bunch of questions that could form a nice little survey about hearing conservation, couldn't it, or something like that. So, yeah, could you? Oh, that's yeah, a lot. Matthew, a lot. Yeah, well done. Hopefully, that spurred you on after my leading question about your effectiveness as a president. Can you please describe? Yeah, that's a nice open question. It's also polite, and people like polite questions as well, so it's a good one. That. Yeah, all these are really great examples. We appreciate um, what keeps you up at night. A great one. Yeah. All right. Oh, hypothetical, Ronald. Would you do the job uh, at the same way? Yeah, yeah. If things were different, yeah. If you weren't caught, would you still do the task the same way? If the senior managers weren't doing a safety walk on site, would you still do this the same way? Yeah, that's a good one. Fantastic. Look, all of these are really, really great examples. Yeah, Helen, that's a good. You're the last on the list there. So yeah, Helen, that's a good one. Oh, there's another one coming through. I'll give you some money. Yeah, that's always a nice one if you're giving money. Definitely hypothetical, that one, eh? But no, thanks everyone. These are really, really great examples, and some of them are really simple, some of them are a little bit more detailed, but that's the benefit of these types of questions. Um, yeah, I like that one, drinking the water. So, um, yeah, simple closed questions, some simple open questions, some slightly more expanded kind of open leading questions, and combinations of both. So really appreciate everybody writing those down. Copy paste the chat, and then you've got a series of really good questions that you might want to use in your workplace. But no, thanks for doing that. Hopefully you found that a little bit insightful. We've got to move on because of time. But yeah, no, great job. Great job on that one. So that is our questioning section finished. We're going to move on to listening now. So you could think, well, we did questioning first. Why are we doing listening second? But who knows? Hey, it doesn't really matter what order we do these in. So just to kick this exercise off, I'm going to ask you two questions. I'm going to read out um, a little bit of text for you, and I'd like you to, in the chat, I'd like you to answer when I finished writing. Okay. So two questions. How many species did Moses take into the ark? And the second question, you are flying a plane which leaves London at 8:30 with 23 people on board. It stops in Paris, dropping off 10, and it picks up a further 4 passengers. It travels further south to Cairo, dropping off another 5 passengers and picking up a further 6. It arrives in Mumbai a few hours later. What was the pilot's name? Okay, so 2 questions. Can anybody write down the answers to those 2 questions? I'm not going to read it out again, so you should have been listening. Oh, look, we've got some good listeners on here. It wasn't Moses, it was Noah. Very good, very good. Okay, you got the easy first question done. What was the pilot's name? The answer is you, because it says you are flying a plane to which leaves London. So the answer is you. So, but the concept of that is there. We often sometimes hear what we expect. It's really good to see that people picked up that I said Moses and not Noah. But how many people honestly just said, well, Noah took 2 of each species onto the ark, and you forget because your brain was telling you that as soon as you heard species ark, you think Noah. So the fact that I said Moses, sometimes it goes over the top. So again, we often hear what we expect to hear. So we assume that the answer was Moses and not Noah. We don't always catch the first part of questions. For example, the plane question. I said you were flying, and then I gave you a series of locations, a number of different passengers at different times. So when I asked you about who was piloting the plane, that was a very, very tiny thing right at the start of the question. So whether or not you picked up on that and you heard it, it's just a way that we need to make sure that when we're communicating, we do often need to listen carefully. And it's a challenge. It's a real challenge, and it's a real skill. And the way that I've kind of set it up is that we can hear and we can listen, and we often we think a lot about hearing as health and safety professionals or occupational hygienists. We think a lot about hearing in the workplace, and that's often the physical of what we can hear, the sounds that are implied to us, passive background noise, and it's often effortless. So if we're listening to music or hearing music, it's just there, it's there in the background, it's automatic. In terms of listening, there's an art to it, isn't there? There's a trust to it. It needs to be active, it can't be passive. We need to make sure that we're focused and we're consciously thinking about what we do. So with regards to listening, often think about it in two of those ways, hearing versus listening. So we're just going to touch on this and use this diagram that I've found here for 8 tips for active listening. So I'm sure some of you will have come across the concept of active listening before, but it requires you to listen attentively to a speaker, someone speaking, understand what they're saying, respond and reflect on what's being said, and retain the information for later. So it's a busy thing. Being an active listener is a busy thing. It keeps being an active listener, it keeps both the listener and the speaker engaged in our conversations with each other. It brings into action the different types of listening skills that we need to put into practice, and it gives us those opportunities to apply that. Okay, so these 8 tips here, I think it's a nice visual slide, which I'm sure you get a copy of after, or if you print screen it now. But look at paraphrasing, asking questions, body language versus So it's so different, showing a bit of empathy, avoiding judgment so you don't, again, close that person off. When I was a young professional, I was very enthusiastic and I would often jump in to conversations and people's sentences without letting them finish. And it used to really wind people up. And I was quickly given some coaching and advice to just calm down a little bit, let people finish, listen to what they're saying, then use my enthusiasm to build a question or an answer and to come back after they've finished speaking, but don't cut people off. So again, it's just making sure that we position ourselves right and show that little bit of control with regards to, as I said, that one up there, listening may be enough. We don't just have to fix things all the time and kind of give that advice too quickly. Oh, no, actually, no, I think you need to do this, need to that. In order to get the right information out of somebody, listening to them, allowing them their time on the stage is so important to have the right kind of conversation. So hopefully these points here, again, it's something that you can take away, something that you can build upon, and yeah, just build on it that way. So, oh, well, thanks, Ronald. Yeah, I saw 71. These are still good things. Well, yeah, because well, you're a wise old owl at 71, so you'll have lots of things to pass on to other people. So they need to listen to you, and you probably need to listen more intently to them back as well. So yeah, but no, great tips on active listening. We're gonna watch another clip. So there's a few clips in this, but I think sometimes it's really good to do that, and we're going to explore this example of active listening with regards to this clip. So this is the clip we're going to do. I'm sure some of you will be familiar with this TV program. So we'll go ahead and we'll see this video clip now.
First, there was PlayStation, aka PS1, PS2, PS3, and now PS4. And that makes sense. You'd think after Xbox, there'd be Xbox 2. But no. Next came Xbox 360. And now, after 360, comes Xbox One. Why one? Maybe that's how many seconds of thought they put into naming it.
Can you get the butter, please?
Yeah. However, with the Xbox One, I can control my entire entertainment system using voice commands. Up until now, I've had to use Leonard.
Then get the other one. Pass the butter.
Hang on. I don't feel like you're taking this dilemma seriously.
Okay, so before we watch the next part of the clip, what would you say about Amy's kind of ability to be a listener? So is she attributing kind of any style to any aspects of active listening at all, or is this what's her kind of, again, what's her body language, what's her motivation like? Is she showing any interest? Yeah, no, that's all good stuff. Yeah, influencing stuff. She's not showing a lot of empathy there. Uninterested. Yeah, she's not focused. She just wants the butter, and she's been a bit sarcastic about it. And what was funny though is when she asked Sheldon a question, which was, "Can you pass the butter?" he went straight to the fridge, even though he's absolutely verbal diarrhea about game stations and all the rest of it. But yeah, another good one there. Eye contact. She's just not interested, is she? So Sheldon challenges her on this. So we're going to watch the next bit of the clip now, and then just let's see how Amy can become an active listener. Be that maybe in a slightly exaggerated way, but I'll let you decide on that one.
Fine, Sheldon. You have my undivided attention.
Okay, now, the PS4 is more angular and sleek looking.
No way!
It's true, but the larger size of the Xbox One may keep it from overheating.
You wouldn't want your gaming system to overheat?
No, see, well, you absolutely would not. And furthermore, the Xbox One now comes with a Kinect included.
Included?
Yes! Not sold separately. Although the PS4 uses cool new GDDR5 RAM, while the Xbox One is still using the conventional DDR3 memory.
Why would they still be using DDR3? Are they nuts?
See, that's what I thought. But then they go and throw in an ES RAM buffer.
Oh, wait a second. Who's they?
The Xbox.
You're kidding!
No, I am not. And this ES RAM buffer should totally bridge the 100 gigabit per second bandwidth gap between the two RAM types.
This is a nightmare. How will you ever make a decision?
See, I don't know. What should I do?
Please pass the butter!
All right, so a little bit exaggerated there, but a really great example of someone turning the switch and becoming an active listener. So once Sheldon challenged Amy, how things changed. How did things change? Can you share some of your thoughts on that one? I like it that you like the clip, but why did it change? Yeah, showed a level of engagement. Yeah, validation. So those of you who know Sheldon as a character, he obviously is of a certain type, and he just wants someone to have that absolute attention on what he's talking about, because he thinks that what he's talking about is the most important thing in the world. Yeah, she's mirroring him. Oh, I like that one. Yeah, she actively reacts. She's totally engaged, isn't she? She totally changes. She's engaged. She uses big expressions. That's right. Yeah, repeated and rephrased the information to emphasize the point. Yeah, very with lots of exaggeration, and that's through, again, a lot of animated body language. Yeah, very excitable, brilliant. A tone of voice went up. Yeah, definitely. So there's loads of things. Obviously, the end clip was about the butter, which is the funny piece as well. But you can see how just, you don't have to go loud and crazy about it, but you can see how something can change so much in such a short space of time if you apply the techniques of everything that you guys have listed there. So, which is brilliant. It's brilliant that you also already know a lot of this stuff, but this is hopefully emphasizing and rebuilding some of the stuff that you do. But yeah, just showing that little bit of focus, intent, validation, body language can really engage an organization. If I was doing this webinar now to you, and I was sat at my desk looking down at the floor with my arms closed, it doesn't give you the opportunity to think, well, Alex doesn't care, so why should I listen to him? So actually, if I'm doing this to you, then you will hopefully be listening to me too, and not just typing away and doing some work in the background. But obviously, all these answers shows that you're all listening really intently, which is great. So yeah, so no, great feedback on that one. And yeah, hopefully it's something you can see. I've put the YouTube links into these as well, so you can use those afterwards if you want to. But no, all really good feedback on that one. Try it with someone at home, or when you're out with some friends, see what happens. That'd be a good challenge. So with regards to listening, listening is a really powerful tool. We can use it in combination with questioning, actually, because we often need to sometimes listen to the answers to the questions that we ask. So these kind of come hand in hand, side by side. But listening can often be more powerful than the questions that you ask, because it's all about then creating that conversation. It really does change people. We saw how kind of validated and exciting Sheldon became when Amy fully engaged into that conversation. And that's what can happen in the workplace too. If we let people know that we are really listening to them, and we're really taking on board, and we're showing the empathetic side, we're validating what they're saying, then there's a powerful connection there for allow us to achieve the results that we need, be that exposure monitoring, be that through training, be that through implementation of risk reduction measures, be that through budget achievements, getting some budget for paying out improvements of LEVs or containment or something like that. So really, really, really important thing to do. So I encourage you all to take those 8 active listening skills and to expand on those and to really put them into practice in your lives where you can. It's always good to play around with these things, especially on people who don't know that you're doing it. It's always a bit of fun. So that's the end of listening. So I appreciate you listening to that. And yeah, again, great responses in the chat. Again, really, really rich information that's going into the chat. So really appreciate that. Okay, we're pushing on. The next one we're going to look at is a real biggie, actually. And it's something that I will hold my hand up now and say this purely is a natural thing. I don't think you can be a total expert in emotional intelligence. Having the ability to recognize and understand your own emotions so that you can recognize and understand and influence the emotions of others is just a skill. And I think it's a natural skill. I think you can work on it and I think you can improve in it, but it is something for me, I hope I can do a decent job, but it's generally something that comes natural. It's really, really hard to work on this. So this would be something that we can all definitely challenge ourselves to do more about. And it really depends on that kind of personality type that you are. But every personality type has an opportunity to use emotional intelligence. It's not the noisy ones, it's not the quiet ones, it's not those in between. It's every different type: analytical, conscientious, thinking, sensing, power pushing. Anyone can do it. And a good thing to think about is a breakdown from Daniel Coleman, which is a really famous writer in this area, psychologist. And these are the 5 aspects of emotional intelligence that is worth picking up on and really exploring. There are other models out there, and there's some that say there's 7, some that say there's 8, some that say there's 4, but the one generally that's most commonly used are these 5 here. So there's empathy, social skills, self-awareness, self-regulation, and motivation. Okay, so all of those are important. We're going to touch on each one, but as it becomes a trend now in this webinar series, we're going to jump back to the Big Bang Theory, and we're going to look at a nice little example of emotional intelligence.
Sheldon, can I come in?
Nope, good old buffer.
How do you know I'm not using the facilities?
Because you email me your bathroom schedule once a week, even though I've clicked unsubscribe like 1,000 times.
Is everyone seeing the video? Seen some messages about...
Yeah, we can see it now, Alex. It was stuck on the previous slide.
All right, okay. All right, so yeah, we'll just go back into this. So Sheldon's hiding in the bathroom.
So, what's going on?
I don't know. I looked around the room and I saw all the faces and the presents, and it was just too much.
I get that. Hey, you want to just bring a few people in here? You know, Will Wheaton in the bathtub, Batman on the toilet. It'll be like the weirdest Comic-Con ever.
I know that you worked hard to put this together. I'm sorry I'm ruining it.
Oh, please, you're not ruining it. Look, at some point, Raj will try to get everyone to do the electric slide. Now that will ruin it.
I don't think I can go back out there.
That's fine. You know, I hate that your sister and her friends used to torture you. What I hate even more is if I was there, I would have tortured you too.
Based on this pep talk, I'd say you're still doing it.
My point is, there was a time I never would have been friends with someone like you, and now you are one of my favorite people. So if what you need is to spend your birthday in a bathroom, I'm happy to do it with you.
Everyone, I'm weird.
Sweetie, you are weird. Everyone knows you're weird, but they're all still here because they care about you so much.
But one of the common questions people ask is, if you guys are so rich, why do you still want to do training?
There we go. Right. Well, apologies for those of you that struggled with the video. It's typical typical webinars that always have a little glitch in them. So apologies for that. But hopefully you heard it. I think the sound was more important than the video itself. Penny, obviously, Big Bang Theory right at the start. Penny would always been billed as the anecdotal, stereotypical blonde girl, especially when she's surrounded by all these crazy, highly intellectual, geeky type people. Sorry for being stereotypical there, but in this clip, the person that's got an IQ of ridiculous numbers and has got multiple degrees and went to university at 10 years old and all the rest of it is being schooled by the person who is showing amazing emotional intelligence for the situation and for the person. So, yeah, it's something I can see people are putting some things up there. Yeah, Penny shows empathy. She validates his feelings. So she's got an ability. Firstly, she recognized that he was in the bathroom and she went in to speak to him. She definitely showed empathy. She had the self-awareness to pitch what she was saying to him at the right level. She joked about having the characters in the bathroom. She regulated herself in terms of what she would like in her party and brought that down to where Sheldon wanted to kind of feel comfortable. And she did that because she cares about him. She's motivated through that friendship and that love that she has for one of her best friends. And she can even tell him honest things, like the weird thing, like that everyone will think I'm weird. Well, actually, she knows that she can say, well, you are weird. But having that ability to kind of meet someone where they're at is really, really important. And I know that was on a friendship thing, and we can apply emotional intelligence in lots and lots of different ways. So we're just going to really skip through some of these now because I appreciate the time is ticking a little bit. So first one, empathy. Again, it's for me, it's just an unwritten skill. Some people are absolutely brilliant at it. I'm not going to read through these slides bit by bit, but some people are brilliant at showing empathy. Some people find it really hard. Yeah, good learning from the Big Bang Theory. Yeah, some people find it really hard. Some people find it really natural. And again, sometimes we can't force a square peg into a round hole, but stepping outside your comfort zone is a good way to challenge yourself to look at ways that you can adapt with regards to applying empathy to different situations and different social situations or workplace situations. So generally the challenges here are in the coloured bars that are going across the screen. So as I'm just doing a little bit of talking, please feel free to look at those and see where you're at with that one.
In the chat for everyone to have access to. The EQ quiz that you
Yes.
mentioned before.
Yeah, well, the links in the slides, so
Perfect.
we can do that in the slides. So yeah, we were going to run through the emotional intelligence piece, and then we were going to do a quick EQ, emotional quotient test, to see where you all were on it. So that's in the slides for you to do. And there's another section on personality typing, like a really short personality typing as well, which are included as an extra set in the slides. So that'll all go out to everybody to play with and explore a little bit as well. So
Very good. We're just suggesting a follow-up webinar, so we can see if we we manage to do that again.
yeah.
Matthew's asking a very good question. What do you
Yeah,
think
there
about
is.
language and cultural barriers and asking the right questions?
Yeah, so that is a good question, Matthew. So Samantha's probably a better person to answer this than me, but it'll prove if I listened during her session at the Emerging Leaders Institute. So we work in a multicultural world now, don't we? And it's ever expanding, which is awesome. I think it's amazing that we can work with people all around the world. So on a daily basis, I can speak to people in 5 different countries, and it's just natural that we're constantly doing that, which is great. But we do have to have an awareness and an understanding of language and cultures when it comes to the way we communicate. And Samantha ran a great session at the Emerging Leaders in 2024 around the cultural aspects of communication, and it's so right. I think it'd be great to explore that further, and it's something that we definitely want to keep on the agenda for ELI moving forwards. But we had a really open, honest discussions, didn't we, Samantha, during the session, of some of our delegates from, shall we say, the more Far East Asian countries that are slightly more conservative and see themselves as naturally quiet, but very, very intelligent thinkers. And the way that they have to cope with, shall we say, the slightly more loud, rash, say, people from Western Europe and the US. No offense, but it's so important, I think, to think about things like that. So yeah, it's a really important piece that I think we have to be aware of. And Samantha, what was the book that you referenced and the tool that you referenced as part of that? So you're better to answer that than me.
In the session, we looked at the culture map from
That's
Dr.
it,
Erin
culture
Meyer.
map.
But there's a lot of work also from Hofstede and others over the years. And so I like how the culture map presents everything visually if people are looking for kind of how to map out the different aspects of culture.
Yeah, no, it's really good. So hopefully that answers your question, Matthew, but it is very, very important. Very, very important.
All right. Very good. We have reached our time for today, and I'm really sorry to everyone about the technical difficulties, and I thank you for hanging in there. If you have any follow-up questions, feel free to reach out to us at IOHA, or Alex has put his information, and he's on LinkedIn. And we'll be sending out the slides, and we thank you again for your participation, and hope you enjoyed the webinar today. Any last thoughts, Alex?
No, apologies again for that weird technical glitch. So I left and then tried to rejoin, and it just kept telling me that I was leaving still. So just froze me out. But I hope you found it interesting. It, as I said, tip of the iceberg, really, and something that I hope's kind of excited you to continue to explore and expand your learning on, really, because we're all learners in this kind of area. But hopefully you'll agree that it does make us better professionals having those little extra skills in our pocket. So yeah, thanks I appreciate people sticking around, and appreciate the good interaction as well. For a webinar, that was great interaction. So thanks for that.
All right, thank you very much. And Alex, I would encourage you to check the chat. There's a couple of messages for you and a lot of thank yous. So have a look. And
Thanks.
all right, thanks everyone. Take care. See you next time.